everyone, Alexa Donne here, and today I am going to be talking about a very specific kind of world building that also deeply impacts character. So this is also about character development, and that is social world building. What a topic for this time when we literally can't leave our houses, but really what a time to talk about, because it might be more clear than ever how important aspects of social world building are for your book. So most often when I see a book where the characters are feeling a little bit flat, where there's something missing, in a YA book, for example, where a teen character, for example, doesn't quite feel like a teenager, or just you feel disconnected from the main character and their world. Very often the issue is a lack of adequate social world building. This means building up the world around your character as it connects to social relationships in general, the things in the character's life that they do that connect to other people, other things. Fleshing these things out are what makes a world feel very real, what makes a character feel dynamic, grounded, not flat, because you're giving them touch tones, social everyday touch tones that we all have. It's basically, you give us something to grasp onto with a character and a world, because in the social world building choices that you make for a specific character, you're telling us a lot about not just the character, but the wider world. Unless your character is a certified hermit, but even then, it's going to come across as unrealistic and, as I mentioned, very flat for your character to have absolutely zero social connections whatsoever. And the thing with a social hermit is that you should actually be offering the contrast of why they don't have social connections. So social connections are going to come up in some way and form. Otherwise, you get what I call kind of a fuzzy through glass. It's distancing for your reader. It's like there's something separating them from you, the character, the world, the story. You can have things happen, including plot twists, attempts at character growth that are just going to feel a bit empty because you never properly grounded your character in their social world. Essentially, you want to make your character feel like a real person who lives in a real place, a real community where there are naturally all sorts of different social interactions and complications. So what are some of the things that you should be considering for your social world building? These are just examples. You don't have to do all of these, but very often you will do a ton of these because everyone has interconnecting social lives. Do they have parents? They have parents. What is their relationship like? Are they here? Are they no longer here? If it's YA, are they permissive parents? Are they strict parents? These things are going to impact your character and how they sit in their world. 2, friends. Everyone should have friends. Again, I mentioned those social hermits. Then they should have a reason why they don't have friends, or they should have online friends. But everyone has some kind of friendship-like social connection or a proxy for that if they do have social hang-ups. Friends, people who are not related to us, who are not our parents, who we talk to on a regular basis, who we see. The friends that we keep definitely reflect on who we are as a person, our values, and whatnot. And generally, you want to have friend characters who can act as foils for your characters. You need to give your character things to react off. And by having some friends for this character, you establish a social circle where your character fits in. This helps you to characterize your character in the context of who they choose to spend their time with. Romantic partners, love interests, if you have this thread. Do they have a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a partner? Do they have a crush on someone? Are they single, looking, bitter, asexual, whatever it is? If they're in a relationship, what is their partner like? What are their social dynamics? Do they live together? You can make a million different choices when it comes to romance, should you choose to have romance, a romantic partner. This is a very common example of social world building. So if it's in a thriller, if they're married, it's going to be very, very different in terms of the social world building versus being a bitter divorcee. It impacts your character, it impacts how they go through the world. These are the things that you're thinking of. It's not just making empty choices about the social relationships a character has, but making very specific choices to give your reader a deeper sense of character and world. Do they have a job? What's their job? What led them to that job? They're younger. What do they want to do? Giving them a want is always really, really good. Generally, jobs can reflect interests and hobbies, which your character should also have, which is the next point on my list. How did they end up in their job? Do they have a boss? What is their boss like? Are they friends with their coworkers? You could kill two birds with one stone. Same thing with love interests. Do they go to work? Is this an aspect of the story? What's their commute like? Are there opportunities for characterization and story there? In YA, it could be an after-school job. You can use those in all sorts of ways. Frankly, is it the kind of community where your character does waitress at the diner or work at the movie theater? Or are they a city kid and very pointedly don't have a job? The absence of something can also work as social world building if you actually talk about it in the book. Before I get to hobbies, the next one is similarly for YA or college set things. School. Is the character in school? Are they a good student or a bad student? Do they like school? What are their favorite subjects? What subjects do they struggle with? Are there extracurricular activities that they do? What are their other social relationships at school? The friends they have, the social groups they're in, where they hang out. Are they buddy-buddy with teachers or do they butt heads with authority? Think about all of the complex and complicated social stuff that comes with these situations and places in anyone's life. It can be whatever's relevant to your story. I'm mentioning things that are pretty grounded in realistic contemporary stories, but you can substitute in whatever works for your world and your book. The point is your character should have a complex web of social relationships. I mentioned hobbies. Now, hobbies are not always social, but they can definitely reflect the broader social world. Some hobbies and interests are social. Are they on a sports team? Are they in a club? What are kind of the things that come there? Or do they like more solo activities, indoor kids activities, which we are all discovering now in self-isolation? And what does that say about the character? This can lead you down roads about, are they an introvert or an extrovert? Are they really socially fluid or are they socially awkward? Essentially, you are grounding your character in specific realistic interests, because everyone has interests, and where a character in a book can feel flat without any of this. If you have a character who really doesn't have friends, yeah, they kind of interact with parents, but not much. They don't have any hobbies or interests outside of the specific plot of the book, meaning you feel like a character is just propelled headlong into a plot with none of these grounding forces that make them feel real. It's okay to have these things disrupted by an exciting plot, but the complete absence of these very real things about just being a person in the universe, that is what gives you kind of that out-of-body, fuzzy through glass sensation of things not quite feeling real. And lastly, I did mention the want. Your character should have aspirations. Every character should want something, should have dreams for themselves. What are those dreams of your character? Very often these are going to feed into your character growth, which you're also going to need to have, but as you build the rest of the social world, the push and the pull, the people that they interact with, how they interact with them, the things they want for themselves versus the things that other people want for them, expectations other people have for them versus their own wants. This is the complex stew of just what it means to be a person, a well-rounded person with a collection of relationships and interests and wants and needs, and you basically have to build all of this for your world, for the world of your book, or else it's just not going to feel tangible. You want to give the reader something to grab onto. So that's an overview of social world building and why it is important, my little soapbox moment, to remember to do these things. I think it's really natural to throw yourself headlong into a plot and just get it down on the page. But if you're getting feedback from readers that they're having trouble connecting to characters, that maybe they're bored in certain spots or they don't understand character motivations, I encourage you to look to your social world building, particularly in your setup. You're going to be doing most of this in your setup. Of course you don't want to do info dumping, but a few very carefully selected scenes early on in your book can do a ton of work for establishing your character and their social world. Let me know down below in the comments any questions you have about this or suggestions you yourself have for having a good, complex social world in your books. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it. I will make more videos about craft and writing. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do that. I post new videos 2 to 3 times a week, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you are notified every time I post a video. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and happy writing.